It's Dipika. Good to be with you once again. This remarkable platform created by a help library deserves huge gratitude, for it has offered its listeners so many interesting talks down the years. And topics get repeated, obviously, for there will always be diverse ways of expressing a thought depending on the particular lens through which the talker experiences their own personal life. What I want to explore with you today is something we all are intimately familiar with, yet don't practice enough of. It's called self love. And I choose to debate the dire necessity of this ingredient in our daily lives because the lack of it is causing misery for most people that don't subscribe to its importance. So let's start at the very beginning. When we are born, fresh from an experience of biological and psychological trauma while exiting our mother's womb, it's been hard. All we think of is sustenance and a chance at survival. And so we wholeheartedly focus on attaining satisfaction of our needs when we are born. And our needs are very few, but they completely absorb our attention. Would you not call that self love? Conceptually, at least, as we don't yet have a hang of nomenclature. And that's exactly why the self love is so pure and so instinctive, not quite driven by a developed ego. And we could go on being fascinated with ourselves. Indeed, we are for many years, early years, as we keep growing. But that could very well become narcissism, don't you think? So it's a good idea that we are disappointed often enough in our pursuit of making everything mine, of possessing everything in our life. However, too much of being thwarted in our attempts to be happy can also lead to us becoming other centered exclusively. And of course, there are so many allied reasons for this, but too much of thinking about others before self can make us into people pleasers and sycophants. So, where does that leave us with the original expression of pure self love? When we put everyone else around us on a pedestal, the energy around self love has changed automatically, hasn't it? How? We stop loving ourselves for the exclusive qualities that we alone may have because these qualities make us stand out and we are frightened of standing out. So we prefer admiring others for those same qualities. And if you are the kind of person that wants to merge with a crowd or follow a herd mentality, then you definitely don't want to express what is unusual and original in you. You would rather die a little each time, metaphorically, and stop expressing your true gifted self. But if safety for you is in numbers, then you would rather forget what you really are like and pretend to be like everyone else. Sadly enough, by giving up your true nature, you give up on loving yourself. And once you do that, you start looking for love on the outside. And you may never know love because you start equating love to taking care of yourself with things on the outside. So if you can get yourself the job that will fetch you the right amount of money, the life partner that will get you the perfect love, the car that will show off your manhood, the designer labels that will show off your physique, and the list continues. Now there are enough associations outside us of what makes us feel loved, on which we can comfortably rely until the time when it hits us that no matter what we have on the outside, we still feel tremendously unloved. And if you are in that place, then come join this series of talks to understand a little more about what self-love could include. This understanding is through my lens, how I have interpreted life, its shortcomings, and eventually come to realize that self-love isn't being selfish or depriving others of what they deserve. To be able to love yourself is the first step towards including others into your life in a very genuine and intimate way. And one can have many superficial relationships that don't even come close to accepting our craziness and neuroticism. And each of us has plenty of that. Why? Why cannot we be accepted for what we are? Because one, we hide our peculiarities from others. We don't really show others what we truly are. Or that we ourselves don't accept that part of us that is ugly, a bit crazy, devious, or even selfish. So what we don't know, how can we show others? And loving yourself for all your real or perceived faults can only make you more open-hearted. in fact, more desirable, very honest, and forthcoming in your interactions. At the end of this series, I hope you will come one step closer to loving yourself more deeply and becoming a more authentic co creator of your destiny. What I have included in this mini series are areas of growth and empowerment that I have somehow wrapped my head around and managed to incorporate the use and benefits to make it easier for me to truly enjoy being who I am or who I am meant to be. The first topic is non attachment to self, even. I will talk about whether being attached to one's opinions, one's feelings, behavior, family, friends, possessions, etc., stops us from loving ourselves. Being attached to so many things on the outside is actually an attachment to oneself for the wrong reasons. For we use all these trappings to bolster our own ego. And so, how is releasing one's attachment to others first and then to oneself an expression of self love? The topic that follows will lead us straight into where are we going with rejection. Being rejected at any age, even as an adult, as you know, is a very sad metaphor for the feeling of being cast aside by life itself. And rejection can start as early as during conception or birth, the trauma from which usually is immense and lifelong. And that would impair our ability to self-regulate, to self-care, and to self-love. Yet, even these early embryonic experiences can't stop the process of healing. No, not at all, provided we have positive epigenetic experiences following our initial false start, so that our genes can express positively. Repair of our earliest trauma is available to us at any age, however old we may become. Even at 80, you may have realization and benefit from a changed consciousness, from loving yourself the way you could not before. The next topic will cover some of the infinite ways in which we become needy. Oh my. And by being consumed by our needs, we continue to create karmic debts which pile up. Seeking others, material things, or adrenergic experiences, all for the purpose of feeling worth it, takes us further away from loving ourselves for who we really are and what we have. How self-sufficient can we become without shutting out the world, is the question. And enough to be able to rely on our own abilities, our intellect, our innate self-belief, to not projecting all our needs externally. And this faith in oneself is a derivative of self-love. Finally, we know that we do begin to age chronologically the moment we are born. And while the early part of our life is spent harrowing over being too young to take on life, be a hero or a heroine, the rest of it is spent trying to hide our age. And while most will say they don't have an issue with stating their age, they will still try to hide signs of aging on their bodies. Aging happens on the outside and we turn gray-haired. Our energy levels reduce and our skin wrinkles. But what is happening on the inside? You might be surprised to know that a cellular structure is keeping abreast of youthful looks and optimum functioning until our very end. So internally, we are still very youthful, right up till the end. And so what can we do about it? We can play along and keep up the good work our cells are doing by feeding them what's right for them. And we may go a long way in keeping off age-related decline. It's important to learn to love ourselves unconditionally all along this timeline. And we end the series with a topic I frequently like to reflect on, since so many of my clients are besotted with understanding its relevance in their lives. And I too have had an interesting ongoing debate with myself over how much influence and power I wish to give it, and until which decade of my entire life. You guessed right. It's about our love-hate relationship with money and the importance it has in our life as a crafty negotiator of happiness. I will leave it here for now, and I will meet you here tomorrow, same time. Bye for now.
Help Talks are daily health-related talks held at Health Education Library for People, Mumbai, India. For more information visit www.healthlibrary.com. Subscribe to Help Talks channel. Be better informed about your health.